Welcome to Zen Money Monday, weekly conversations with innovators, thought leaders, and entrepreneurial junkies about building good businesses, exploring what the idea of Zen money really means, and how to achieve it. With your host, author, business strategist, and Zen Money CFO, Liz LaJoy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Zen Money Monday. If you missed last week's episode, I had a really great conversation with Stacy Nahiski talking about finding your social media groove. It was full of all kinds of tips about how to maximize your Instagram and Facebook and how to think about how it can relate to your business. So if you want to check it out, you can go to zenmoneymap.com/042 to catch that episode. And this week, I want to talk about choosing your accounting and payment systems. This comes up a lot around the year, and I've been having a lot of questions about it recently, so I thought it would be pertinent to have a quick conversation this week right now about what we're using, what you might be thinking about choosing to take care of tracking your numbers for your business. This is a big point of contention for a lot of people, and I wanted to give you my thoughts. So when I do training for the From Zero to Zen program, or if people are coming to us and don't really have a lot in place, I always say that, we can track our numbers a bunch of different ways. We just have to find the right one that works for you. And it is totally feasible to run a successful business using Excel and doing a lot of data entry and making sure that you're, have a place where you're listing out your income, i.e. revenue, i.e., money that people are paying you, and listing out your expenses. And you may be able to do that for a long time. I've had people who are like, I'm happy, maybe you're a freelancer and you're making maybe $70,000 to $90,000 a year in your business. There's not a whole lot necessarily going on transaction-wise. So that's just a really easy way to keep a quick track of it so that you can take it and share it with an accountant or do your own taxes at the end of the year. That's an awesome way to do it. I know people who have continued to run million-dollar businesses on spreadsheets. It's just it gets more complicated. So if you happen to not be a spreadsheet nerd or love to really get into formulas and data entry, then we start to think about using something else. And so there's two roads that I see people going down. In the online space especially, there is a big push to use right out of the gate, especially I've heard this a lot in the coaching world and some of the other kind of online entrepreneurial spaces where, we'll sign up with something like Wave or 17 Hats or something that looks like kind of an all business management portfolio. And that's not a bad thing. Those things allow you to send invoices. They often allow you to get paid through their systems. So you get that piece of your business taken care of. But the thing that's important to remember is that there's more to your business than just sending out invoices and having the money come in, although that is the very much fun part of it, right? But as we grow, it really becomes important to be able to dig a little bit deeper into your numbers. I had a call the other day with somebody who is growing a really fast business, sort of surprisingly fast, and she's feeling behind because she thinks that she's on track. She knows that let me rephrase that. She knows she's blown her initial plan out of the water, but she doesn't have the details of the ins and outs in terms of her monthly expenses. What of that is fixed, i.e. we're spending it every month versus what's, variable. She wants to be looking to hire some people. And so she's at a point where she needs a little bit more information. Now, this is a person who right out of the gate chose to set herself up on QuickBooks. She's using QBO or QuickBooks Online, which is the main platform that we use with our clients as well. And the nice thing about it is that it is what I call a true accounting system. A true accounting system is going to do everything financially record keeping related for you. So we're going to be able to track client records, client invoices, sales receipts. We're going to be able to give credit memos. We're going to be able to track all of your expenses and have vendor records associated with those expenses. We're going to be able to do specific deposits and hook up your bank feeds so that the cash portion of your business is tied into all of this as well. And equally important, we're going to be able to track the part of your business that many of us don't think about that often. And that is the accounts that hold your cash money. We think about that a lot. Okay. But what you owe other people and what kind of equity you're growing in your business. Now, a lot of times if we're selling our own brains for a living, which many of you are, then we don't maybe care about whether we're growing equity. We might be taking out everything that we've earned, everything extra from our business. And so it's not a big deal to track it more in-depthly. But what a system like QBO gives you is a lot more reporting capability. And that's why I like it, because as I say all the time, we need to do the bookkeeping and the record transactions and the record keeping that is required by law as businesses. But it's not just about doing that. What full true accounting systems also give you is reporting capabilities. And if we can draw out the numbers and we can start to see trends and we can track month over month, how are we doing in this revenue stream? How are we doing for that program? It really can help guide your future forward thinking strategic decisions around where you want to spend your time in your business, where you want to spend your energy in terms of bringing new monies in the door. And that is really, really important if you want to grow past a standard, which there's nothing wrong with this, but if a standard kind of, I'm going to sell my time for hours and I'm going to sell my hours for dollars. That's what I'm trying to say. And we're just going to take what clientele come in, and there isn't necessarily the interest in growing sort of bigger. And as I've said in other podcasts, I do think that there's a range, there's room for all of these versions, but the benefit of choosing something like QuickBooks Online or Xero is another online actual accounting system versus systems that say that they will take care of your accounting, but really only give you one portion of your full picture. They might tie into a bank account. They probably may or may not track expenses. They probably aren't really tracking expenses for you. It's sort of a accounting light version. And my issue with those in general is that it gives us a false sense of security, because we might look at that system thinking we're looking at our entire financial picture and things look rosy, but then somewhere off on the other side, we have a high credit card balance, we're overspending, maybe we're taking too much cash out, and that isn't reflected in a system like in these light versions. So if we really want to understand and drill down and get reporting that shows us how much cash did we make last month, how much cash did we spend last month, versus how much did I book in revenue, i.e. how much did I invoice, because there's a difference, right? How much you invoiced might not be the same amount of dollars that came in. If you're running a business where you're automatically running credit cards through Stripe, for example, maybe you're selling a product online, or this is a portion of your business, and people point and click and they give you their credit card number and the money kind of comes in automatically. If that's happening for 100% of your business, awesome. Maybe we just need a very simple version, but I just want you to be aware of what the options are and what the benefits and cons are for choosing any particular system. So you can do it on the back of a napkin. You can do it in a spreadsheet. I love, as people grow, to help them get set up in something more formalized, and that might involve learning how to use it, because one thing that also happens with a system like QuickBooks or Xero is that then a lot of frustration happens. People are either really worried that they're going to make a mistake, which I'm just here to tell you, this is not a China shop. Things aren't going to break if the wrong number gets put in. It is important to tie it out properly, but those mistakes can be fixed. And today's version of accounting systems do make it fairly easy with just a little bit of understanding, a little bit of training around, how does business financial management work, which is just a little bit more complex than our normal cash in the bank account, cash out of the bank account way that most of us live our personal lives. Again, none of this is rocket science. You can totally learn this, or you can choose to pass it off to somebody. And so I just want to take a second to talk about what happens when, for those of you out there who might be thinking, well, I'm set up in QuickBooks, I've got somebody taking care of it, I'm good. I just want to encourage you to remember that you're also the leader in your business. And so I want you to be able to get into those systems and pull your numbers whenever it's convenient for you. I hear horror stories about people who defer the entire financial management realm of their business to someone else, typically outside of their business these days, because we can outsource this. We don't necessarily have anyone in-house doing the work as much anymore, but we might have a bookkeeper who comes in once a month or, is tracking it for us from a different state even. And if that's the case, it's still our job to understand how to get to stuff. It's our job to review it And it's our job to make sure that things are being done and processed consistently, for our benefit. So I had somebody ask recently, actually, I think it was a question on the Zen Money archetype quiz, and somebody was going through it while we were on a live call. And she asked, oh, this question says, how often do you look at your monthly reports, or are your monthly reports being, looked at? And her question was, oh, does that mean by my bookkeeper or by me? I feel that, the question was, you as the business owner, how often are you looking at your reports? Because this is where the rubber hits the road from a strategy standpoint, from an ability to get the dollars in your pocket that you want. And if we can look back and see all of that information really quickly and easily, which a true accounting system should provide for you as long as it's being kept up to date regularly, then a lot of that anxiety around managing your money and making decisions comes way, way down because you have real numbers at your fingertips. I'll give you another example. I had a call with a client and we were doing some pricing strategy just the other day. And it was really easy for me to very quickly give her 3 or 4 different versions of what life could look like in her business, all couched in very real historic numbers. We were able to say, look, so far this year, we're on average spending, X dollars in your business. You've been taking out Y dollars, but in your personal life, you really would like to take out Z dollars. If we shift your pricing to this level, to level A, level B, and level C, then here are the different things you can do if we hold with some of these baseline expenses and we don't take on a lot of extra projects or programs or other things that we're spending money on. So that is the way to really, really use a full accounting system. So when you think about where your business wants to go, I want you to consider not just where you are today, but where you want to be in 5 years, maybe 10 years, because setting yourself up in an accounting system that's going to run with you in whatever version of business you're in, even 6 months from now, because, we as entrepreneurs like to be very creative and we like to change things up, but you need a system that's going to carry you through, that isn't going to get you caught short at some point when you're in the thick of trying to launch something new. You're very distracted by all the other parts of your business. The last thing you want to be doing is looking at needing to transition to a new accounting system and the upheaval that might create and stress and things like that. None of that work is particularly hard, but anytime we bring on a new software system, anytime we try something operationally new in our business, there is a little bit of learning curve and some upheaval that might go along with it. So I just want you to be prepared for that. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was payment options. So I have a lot of clients who have multiple ways for people to pay them. I like having some backups, but my advice is always let's understand the primary way money is going to come in your door, whether that's invoicing through QuickBooks and people are paying you, whether it's getting people's credit card and running it through QuickBooks merchant fee, whether it's using Stripe to collect payments, and then just recording that on the back end in your accounting system, whether it's using Square to do the same thing. There's also plenty of options and offers out there. I know that a lot of people as business owners, get a lot of offers from local and regional banks to run their merchant service stuff, which basically means they will set you up so that you can run credit cards. If you're working in the online space, I don't love that option, and here's why. Regional banks tend to not have the same level of technological sophistication that allows you to seamlessly record and track your numbers. A lot of times there are glitches with setting up feeds. They have different levels of bank security, and often they're more expensive because they're not running the millions of dollars that something like Stripe is running. So the fees associated may be higher as well. But even if the fees aren't higher, there just tends to be a lot of, you might spend 2 days of your life on the phone with somebody from the bank figuring out how to set up your payment processing, whereas Stripe and Square are just a point and click. So if you're trying to work in the online space and you don't want to spend a lot of time and hassle, then that would be my recommendation. There are many reasons that people love to use local and regional banks. Maybe you're just a big fan of your local credit union and you want to support them and you want to run that business through there for them. That's totally fine too. Just be aware that it may not be as seamless as using one of the more tried and true bigger guys out there in terms of payment processing. The thing about QuickBooks to also keep in mind is a lot of people get frustrated because they'll think, okay, I can just use QuickBooks. And then they're stuck going, well, how do I get people to pay me from my storefront or my website now or a landing page? And there are a couple of third-party applications. You can do this with a Zap. You can do it with a couple of other specific softwares that are QuickBooks approved. There are a couple out there that interact directly with QuickBooks. There are a couple that become sort of a bridge to collect the information from the payment processor and bring it in. So the important thing here is to do your research. Think through what you need for your business now and potentially in the future, because we want to set up like a record keeping system. We want to set up a system that's going to work well for you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, without having to spend a bunch of time and energy revamping it. And having a couple of backups. So, for example, many people start out getting paid via PayPal, and then they find that they can save some money by using a different processor because PayPal is taking out a higher percentage than they'd like, or maybe the PayPal bank feeds don't play as nicely, which is true for many people, especially if you're dealing with currency exchange. So if you're in Canada, people are paying you in US dollars, for example, then the record keeping, the bookkeeping around that is a little tricky because of the conversion. None of it is insurmountable, but if you're doing it yourself, it can be very overwhelming. So I've had people who are like, I did the right thing. I got set up on QuickBooks. Somebody got me set up. And now I'm looking at it, realizing that my chart of accounts doesn't make sense to me. It's not showing me what I want it to show, or I just think I'm making a whole mess of it. So there are layers to this accounting system, payment system thing. We just need to find the right version that isn't overly complicated, doesn't create a ton of different accounts that you have to track every month, because sometimes we accidentally get set up so that some monies come through Stripe, some monies come through Square, some monies come through PayPal, some monies come through somewhere else, Venmo or whatever. And that can just create a little bit of complexity when you're trying to really get a handle on what's going on with your cash flow. So I like to have options for a business in terms of people paying you. We want to streamline that. We have other episodes where we talk about your contract to cash cycle, and figuring out your payment processors is part of that. But we also don't want it so overly complicated or so many different options that it's confusing for you to track, and it's, gives sort of too many options for people to pay us. We want to keep that clean. It keeps your boundaries clean. And then we want to track it in a system that is easy for you to understand the management of it. So if what works best for you is keeping a spreadsheet, as I said in the beginning, then do that. That's great. If what's easiest for you is using something like Wave or 17 Hats, or sort of a pseudo project management / a little bit of accounting, system, great, do that. Just recognize the limitations of that system. And if you want to move into a full accounting system, or if you already have, then let's figure out how to really get the most out of that. And that means keeping it clean and up to date, so that when you pull reports, your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, your cash flow forecasting, accounts payables, any of that stuff, they will be accurate, and you will actually be able to use that information to drive your business decisions. And that is really the key to business management, full stop. It's where the rubber really hits the road in terms of your ability to feel great about what's happening. And if you're seeing things you don't like, then we can make adjustments. If we're not doing it based on I feel like I'm not doing so great. So knowing what to use, when to use it, how to use it. And if you're working with somebody else, making sure that you're still comfortable getting in and understanding what's happening, so that you can spot check it, or you can send out a quick invoice if somebody's doing all that for you. I want you to be really empowered around the accounting setup that you have created for your business. If you want to hear more about this, I've got all kinds of stuff on my website with some cheat sheets and all kinds of fun things. We're also going to be ramping up to a brand new version of the From Zero to Zen program in just a few weeks here. So if you want to learn more about any of that, just go to lizlajoy.com and you can find all kinds of goodies. In the meantime, I hope this is helpful and meaningful for you. I hope you have a fantastic week, and be sure to tune in next week. I am going to be talking with Ritu Goswami, who is an immigration attorney and a productivity coach for lawyers. She has broken into she's created a whole new niche for herself. And so we're going to talk about that process, the process of running two businesses side by side, and Ritu's version of keeping her ducks in a row and not going crazy in the process. So be sure to check that out next week. Hope you guys have a great day. Did you like this episode of Zen Money Monday? I would love to hear from you. If you want to submit a review of this podcast, all you have to do is visit ratethispodcast.com/Zen Money to let us know what you think. Would love to hear your feedback. Are you worried that you might not be catching all of the things that you need to in your financial management? You can get a jump on your money and never miss another financial step with my Quick Start Kit, which will set you on your path to Zen Money with 5 time-tested and easy-to-use, I promise, checklists, templates, bookkeeping tools, cheat sheets that are going to help you know what to do and when. If you are ready to master your cash flow and get your records in order and never miss another bookkeeping step, all you have to do is go to zenmoneymap.com/kit, K-I-T, to get started with that. Hope you enjoy.